Hi everybody, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. I've got 7 stories for you in this video, so let's just dive in, starting with Olympus Apocrypha by Kujikiri21. So this is a Percy Jackson crossover with Fate Stay Night, where we basically just have 60,000 words explaining the Holy Grail War and summoning a set of servants. Like, that's it. There's nothing else really here. No plot actually goes forward. We get a small view into like an alternate history of Percy's life before this. Why? Because he's familiar with the Grail War, in a sense. So there's a bit, but it's basically just a glorified suiting up sequence for a battle that never comes. It's gonna fall off my list. Number 2, Weight of the World by Tsume Yuki. This is a Naruto fic that's a self insert fic where person gets inserted into the body of a female Naruto. Person ends up reincarnating as female Naruto. Slightly different life than regular Naruto because one it's a girl and two it's an SI, but it's not that different. Still hits the main points of canon. Nothing really objectionable here, but I was never really interested. The writing's fine, just pretty dull. Story gets past the Chunin exams, but again, like, it's all just uninteresting to me. It's gonna fall off my list. Next is Luffy's Renewed Adventure by Fuck the System 125. This is a time travel fic where Luffy, after all his crew has died and he's in Impel Dawn, meets a guy who has the open fruit, which he uses to open a portal through time to send Luffy back in time and also open Luffy's eyes to the female body, and so he jumpstarts his sex drive. So the first 20 chapters of this is basically just like beat for beat canon, with the exception of like they say the word hockey a couple times, but that's about it. Like, and then after that, once we start getting to Sanji's place and stuff, we basically just start adding every other character to Luffy's crew. We add Gin, we add Alvida, we add Mr. 8 and 9, Mr. 5, Miss Valentine. Like, they just start adding everybody to the crew. And yet things still progress the same as canon. And the tediousness of that just got to me. Like, I couldn't take it anymore. I just got uninterested. Like, sure, adding all those people would probably get some new interesting stuff further in the future, though of course this story isn't complete and the guy promised to rewrite, which has not happened. But it just, it's just boring. Like, I've read this guy's other fics. He has a bunch of One Punch Man fics that I've read, and I've really enjoyed them, which shows that, like, because like those were written much later. He learned a lot from writing after this. So, but here, this is just not really interesting. Like I said, it's incomplete. Stops at Skypiea, so you can skip this. It's gonna fall off my list. Number 4 is A Demon Among Devils by the Crimson Lord. This is a Persona 3 fic crossover with High School DxD, and this is like after Persona 3. Elizabeth sends Minato to another world, and he ends up, getting involved with Rias and her peerage. So I love Persona 3. Persona 3 is top 3, probably my 3rd favorite game of all time. And part of that is probably definitely going to be biasing me towards this story because I have so few of them on my list and stuff like that. But I really did enjoy my reread of this. Minato's interactions with the cast are really wonderful. His conversations with everybody are truly great. Both in battle and the personas are great because like they actually have personalities because of this new world. So they're both interesting, both in battle and in just conversation in general. There's a lot of stretches of conversation, which at first might seem like you might just think, oh, it's just power rankery and stuff, like going into overall complicated explanations and stuff. But like that's like further from the truth. Like pulling explanations out of Minato or like power explanations in this thing, it's like pulling teeth. Like you get next to nothing, and it focuses very much on character relationship and building like essentially a social. He's not building a socialist again, but like it's very character and like motivation focused. It's the story's incomplete. It stops just after establishing the three factions alliance for the the biblical factions. But I really really enjoy this. I love, and if you like Minato or P3, like if you like P3 Minato, you will get a lot out of this. It's gonna stay on my list. Next is Reinforced Chamber by Lupine Horror. This is a sequel to Reinforced Magic, which was a Harry Potter Nanoha crossover where Reinforce basically soul unisons with Harry, and then that was their first year. This is their second year. The story's not bad, but unlike the first one stayed on my list. This one, I just wasn't as engaged as I was the first year. We get a lot of time with Nanoha's group this time, and we get some stuff setting up some relationships there, while also speed running Voldemort's backstory and the Horcrux like setup stuff, and nabbing over half of them immediately. But it just felt kind of droll, especially like with how fast that section wraps up in like 3 or 4 chapters at the end. It's like I don't find it bad, and if I had like I said, the first one's still on my list, and if I went to go back to reread, when I go back to reread that, I will definitely continue and read this as well, just for completion's sake, to like go, okay, there's the story, so like let's go and read the whole story. But would I come back and say like, is there any super moment here that I would jump to for this, like I did for like Travel Secrets second year or something? No. So by itself, this one's not going to stay on my list. Number 6 is Mismatched Wings by Arwan D. Draven. This is a Harry Potter High School DxD crossover one-shot where Harry, after the events of the books, goes to Japan and adopts Akeno for like 2 months before dying and then having to disappear for a bit so that Akeno can become part of canon, and then coming back basically at the start of High School DxD canon. It's okay. Like it's a Harry and Akeno pairing fic, but I feel like that relationship moves pretty fast because, like I said, like they only get 2 months together, where Akeno's a kid and Harry's an adult. But like that, when they meet up again, now that she's like 17, they immediately like she's like apparently in that time fell in love and wants to marry him and stuff, and it just feels kind of like I mean. Definitely she taught her a kid, but like the fact that it jumped to romance instead of just father-daughter felt a little weird. And then aside from that, like after they meet up, we get like 3 or 4 scenes throughout canon of like a couple fights where Harry shows up and shows out his Master of Death powers and stuff, and then it ends on their wedding. It all wraps up nicely, but it's all just okay. I don't think it's bad, and if anybody wants this pairing or wants an Akeno like romance fic, you'll be fine. I'm just not that interested, and I wouldn't come back to this for a reread. It's gonna fall off my list. Okay, and last but not least is When Signing a Contract, Always Read the Fine Print by Gentleman Kitsune. This is a Naruto fic. That's a video. It's a gamer Naruto fic. One that's actually complete, so bonus points, but also loses points because wasn't that engaging for me. I never got super invested into this. The writing is definitely not the best, and there are an abundance of screen layouts and like all that stuff that gobbles up space, but it never gets in the way of telling a good story. But like I said, like I just wasn't sucked in. Like there's a bunch of changes, especially when they decide to just skip basically all of Shippuden and just jump to the fighting, Akatsuki and like end of the world scenario kind of thing. I just don't see a need to ever revisit it. I think it's fine, and if you want a gamer Naruto fic, this one's complete. It's fine. Has like a slightly weird epilogue extra chapter that I don't think is that interesting or like just weird. But if you want a decent Naruto gamer fic, you'll be fine, but I don't see it ever becoming like a favorite of anybody else's, and it wasn't mine, so it's going to fall off my list. So there we go. Fan fiction status time. I've now read 1,028 stories, and 476 of them have stayed on my list. So thank you for watching. As always, I will leave links to the stories in the description, as well as links to playlist for this video, links to my thread on a sufficient velocity where I also post all this stuff in written form, and a link to my profile if you want to see what's still on there or like the things yet to come. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.